A day filled with drama, a familiar face returning to the Premier League, and all sorts of ups and downs. You wouldn't expect anything less from the Championship, League One and League Two on its final day. Hello everybody and welcome back to Full House Sports. Here myself, Charlie. A reminder before the video starts to please like, comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated as I try and become a one-man sports news bandwagon. Yes, there's plenty going on in England's second, third and fourth divisions. So let's have a little bit of a rundown and talk through all of those different talking points. And first is first, I think it's important to start at Portman Road. Listen, they went into it as favourites, Ipswich. It was fair to say, I think we expected that. And within 10 minutes, the game was well and truly dead and buried. It's a shame for Millwall because I think there's a part of some English fans, myself included, that would like to see Millwall up in the Premier League, but it's the playoffs for them. I'll say, within the first 10 minutes, Ipswich came out and did what they needed to do. Jaden Philogene, who's been an absolute standout this season, getting the second goal. George Hurst opening up the scoring. And from then on in, it was simply a case of cruise control. QPR didn't offer a lot in terms of attack. I think they're definitely a team that are in transition. And with that in mind, yeah, they had nothing to play for anyway, really. Not saying that they'd have done anything in particular anyways against QPR, but it is what it is. Not saying they've done anything in particular against Ipswich anyway, but it is what it is. Like I say, Ipswich come up, they are a returning phase, they've bounced back up. That's not always easy to do. As much as people talking, the parachute payments are massive. 45 million, I think, was what I saw rumoured. They did sign well, and listen, it's still the hardest league in the world, the Championship. So for Kieran McKenna to do it, not once but twice, is a real testament to him. And I think he'll be linked away, to be honest with you, this summer. I don't necessarily know if he would leave Ipswich because he seems to have a good setup there. But I do definitely think he'll be linked with moves away from the club because tactically, I think he's a very good manager. He's a very good young manager and he's proved his worth now twice down in the Championship. Maybe with a club with a little bit more money, he might be able to go further on. As mentioned, Millwall had the playoffs then. They do still beat Oxford. It's big for a club like them. They go into playoffs. That last playoff spot, though, had lots of twists and turns. At one point, it was Wrexham. At one point, it was Derby. And then finally, it was Hull, who started off looking the least likely going 1-0 down to Norwich. Wrexham, Middlesbrough, all the goals came in the first half. Obviously, I was flicking between that and Ipswich. And Middlesbrough, of course, who did have a slim chance of automatic promotion. So still really, with that in mind, were playing, I think, with that intensity. They managed to spoil Wrexham's parade after their back-to-back-to-back promotions. Listen, regardless of your opinion of Wrexham, they've done tremendously well to be even where they are. And if you look at the run they've been on from the start of the season, and listen, they look like they struggled a little bit with the Championship. To be where they are now is absolutely is a credit to Phil Parkinson and the Wrexham board as well for sticking by him. Hull did turn things around at Philip Clement's Norwich, who also have been a good story. I think they're a team next year to maybe keep your eye on. Philip Clement, of course, ex-Rangers gaffer. Listen, he's done a fantastic job with them. But Hull will go to playoffs to play Millwall and Southampton, fresh off their FA Cup semi-final heartbreak, will play off against Middlesbrough. League One and all was all but secured already. Cardiff and Lincoln know that they're returning to the Championship. The playoff spots, though, did it go in? Yeah, wow. If you're Luton, you're going to say no. If you're Stevenage, you're going to say, of course it did. Yeah, not great, that. We've had a couple of, we've had York Rochdale last week. We've now got this one. They're just tough calls. I don't envy linesmen, put it that way. But it was given. Stevenage secure their spot in the playoffs. The Championship dream goes on for them. I went to their stadium actually earlier this season, the Lamex. And do you know, it's a fantastic story. You think that they're a side languishing down in sort of the local non-league and the story and the rise they've been on. But like I say, Luton, they're going to be going. It was never over the line. And yeah, it's an iffy cut. It's a hard call. I don't envy any lines. But Leyton Orient stayed up. Richie Wellens clearly threw up to bits about that, said that he's wasted a year of management and the players have wasted the months of their careers. Yeah, positive as always from Richie Wellens. I think he's probably trying to talk himself out of the job. And then there was plenty of drama down in League Two in terms of who got relegated. But in the end, it is Barrow and Harrogate who returned to the National League. At one point, it wasn't Harrogate. Barrow were beating Newport County and Harrogate were going to stay up. However, Newport turned it around. Goals in the 76th and 84th minute kept them up for another year fighting in the EFL and left Harrogate, who, I don't know, I've got a friend who lives up in Harrogate and follows them. And he was saying They've just not really made the most of this. They've had 3 years in the EFL, staying up by the skin of their teeth. Yeah, you just, I don't know. Listen, they're a side that were essentially they're a non-league club through and through. They're punching well above their weight. You just wonder with clubs like that, have they made the most of their time up in the Football League? I mean, maybe not. Their best finish was 14th, but listen, then Barrow would go down to the National League, which is getting ever the more competitive. It's almost another arm of the Football League these days. Anyway, but like I say, the playoffs goes on. Millwall play Hull, Southampton against Middlesbrough. They are going to be the playoffs always produces drama. It's such an English football cliche, but they do produce drama. They're brilliant for that. And Ipswich returns to the Premier League. Portman Road will be back in the big time. As always, guys, let us know what you think. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. To try and become a one-man sports news bandwagon. As always, have a great day.